Have you ever wondered, was Jesus really born in December? It's a question that has puzzled historians, theologians, and even faithful believers for centuries. If this date is so widely celebrated, how was it chosen? Could there be more to the story than tradition tells us? In this video, we're diving deep into these questions, exploring the fascinating evidence that connects the biblical account of Jesus' birth with historical and cultural records. Our goal isn't just to satisfy your curiosity but to strengthen your confidence in the narrative of the Bible. By the end of this video, you'll walk away with a clearer understanding of how faith, history, and scripture intersect when it comes to this central event in Christianity. The importance of this discussion goes beyond mere dates on a calendar. The birth of Jesus Christ is a cornerstone of Christian belief, moment that changed history and continues to inspire billions today. But understanding when and why we celebrate this miraculous event can bring an even deeper appreciation for its meaning. So, where do we begin? We'll first uncover the historical and cultural factors behind the date of December 25th. Then, we'll turn to the Bible itself to see what Scripture says about the timing of Jesus' birth. From there, we'll examine historical and astronomical evidence that sheds light on this mystery. To understand why December 25th was chosen as the date to celebrate the birth of Jesus, we need to journey back to the 4th century, a time when Christianity was becoming the dominant faith in the Roman Empire. Before this, Christians had no specific date for commemorating Christ's birth. So, why did December 25th emerge as the chosen day? The key lies in the intersection of faith and culture. During the late Roman Empire, December 25th marked the festival of Sol Invictus, or the Unconquered Sunday. This pagan celebration, tied to the winter solstice, symbolized the rebirth of light as days began to grow longer. Similarly, the Roman festival of Saturnalia, held in mid-December, was a time of feasting, gift-giving, and merriment. These celebrations were deeply embedded in Roman society, providing an opportunity for the Church to adopt and transform them into a distinctly Christian observance. By aligning the birth of Christ with these existing festivals, the early Church achieved two goals: it provided Christians with a meaningful alternative to pagan traditions, and it symbolized Jesus as the true light of the world, overcoming spiritual darkness. This decision wasn't about deception or compromise. It was a strategic effort to unify and strengthen the faith during a critical period of its growth. But why wasn't a different date chosen, one perhaps more closely tied to historical evidence? Early Christian leaders were less concerned with pinpointing exact dates than with communicating theological truths. To them, December 25th wasn't just a convenient choice, it carried profound symbolic meaning. As the celebration of Christmas spread throughout the Roman Empire, it took on diverse cultural expressions. Many traditions we associate with modern Christmas, feasts, decorations, and gift exchanges, have their roots in these ancient practices, adapted over time to reflect Christian themes. While some might view this blending of traditions as problematic, it also demonstrates the Church's ability to contextualize the gospel message for different cultures. This adaptability ensured that the story of Christ's birth resonated with people from all walks of life. Understanding this historical and cultural backdrop doesn't diminish the significance of Jesus' birth. Instead, it helps us appreciate how the message of Christ has transcended time and culture, reaching countless hearts throughout history. Biblical analysis. When it comes to pinpointing the time of Jesus' birth, the Bible itself doesn't provide a specific date. Instead, the narratives in the Gospels of Matthew and Luke focus on the significance of his arrival and the fulfillment of prophecies. Still, these accounts offer subtle clues that have intrigued scholars and believers for centuries. Luke's Gospel, Shepherds in the Fields. In Luke 2 verses 8 to 12, we read about shepherds keeping watch over their flocks at night when an angel announces the birth of Jesus. This detail has sparked debates about the season. In ancient Israel, shepherds typically kept their flocks in open fields during the warmer months, from spring to early fall. During winter, colder weather and rain made it more practical to shelter sheep closer to villages. This has led many to argue that Jesus was likely born in a season other than December. However, some scholars counter this by suggesting that certain regions near Bethlehem could have had year-round grazing, especially for sheep designated for temple sacrifices. While this doesn't confirm December as the month, it leaves the possibility open, showing the complexity of interpreting such historical details. Matthew's Gospel, the Magi and the Star. Matthew 2 introduces the Magi, wise men from the east, who followed a star to find the newborn king. The Star of Bethlehem has been the subject of countless theories, ranging from supernatural phenomena to natural celestial events. But this narrative also provides historical markers. The account takes place during the reign of King Herod, who is known to have died around 4 BCE. This suggests that Jesus' birth occurred shortly before this time. Additionally, the Magi's journey in Herod's decree to kill all male infants under 2 years old imply that Jesus might have been born earlier than commonly thought. The Roman census and Jewish customs. Luke 2 verses 1-5 mentions a census ordered by Caesar Augustus, requiring Joseph and Mary to travel to Bethlehem. Critics have questioned the historical accuracy of this census, but some scholars propose it may align with known Roman practices, even if the specific details remain unclear. Jewish customs of the era also play a role in understanding the timing of Jesus' birth. For example, Mary and Joseph's journey to Bethlehem might have been strategically timed to coincide with a festival or event, ensuring they weren't alone on the road. Some propose the Feast of Tabernacles in the fall as a plausible time, given its themes of dwelling and divine presence, which align symbolically with Christ's birth. Prophetic links and symbolism. The Bible often intertwines historical events with theological significance. For instance, prophecies like Micah 5 verse 2, which foretells the Messiah's birth in Bethlehem, emphasize the fulfillment of God's plan rather than chronological precision. Additionally, the symbolism of Jesus as the light of the world resonates with themes of light overcoming darkness, which could explain why early Christians associated his birth with the winter solstice. This wasn't about fabricating a date but highlighting the deeper meaning of his coming. Tensions between history and theology. It's important to recognize the balance between history and theology in the Gospel accounts. While they provide valuable clues about the timing of Jesus' birth, their primary goal is to convey the profound impact of his arrival. The Gospels are less concerned with dates and more focused on showing how Jesus fulfilled God's promises to humanity. By examining these biblical narratives, we gain insight into the cultural, historical, and theological dimensions of Christ's birth. These layers of meaning enrich our understanding, reminding us that the essence of Christmas lies not in the exact date but in the miraculous event it celebrates. Historical and astronomical evidence. The mystery surrounding the date of Jesus' birth extends beyond biblical texts. Historians and astronomers have spent centuries examining clues from the ancient world to piece together a timeline. While the Bible provides theological context, historical and astronomical evidence offers a broader perspective that helps frame the story within a tangible setting. Roman records and the census debate. One of the most debated elements of Jesus' birth narrative is the census mentioned in Luke 2. Luke describes a decree from Caesar Augustus that required Joseph and Mary to travel to Bethlehem. Critics have pointed out discrepancies, as no direct Roman records confirm a census aligning with the timeline of Jesus' birth. However, some scholars argue that censuses were indeed a routine aspect of Roman governance. For instance, Quirinius, mentioned in Luke 2 verse 2, conducted a well-documented census in 6 CE. While this date doesn't match the estimated time of Herod's reign, it's possible that Luke was referring to an earlier, less documented local census. Alternatively, translation nuances or oral tradition could have influenced the Gospel's wording. The reign of Herod the Great. Herod the Great is a pivotal figure in determining the timeline of Jesus' birth. Historical records indicate that Herod died in 4 BCE, which means Jesus must have been born before this date. Matthew's account of Herod's decree to kill male infants under 2 years old further narrows the window, suggesting a birthdate between 6 and 4 BCE. This timeline is supported by other historical markers, such as the political climate in Judea under Roman rule and Herod's ambitious architectural projects. Herod's reign was characterized by political instability and paranoia, making his drastic actions in Matthew's account plausible within the historical context. Astronomical theories and the Star of Bethlehem. The Star of Bethlehem is one of the most fascinating elements of the Nativity story. While the Bible describes it as a guiding light for the Magi, its nature remains a topic of speculation. Could it have been a natural astronomical event? Conjunctions of planets. Some researchers propose that the Star of Bethlehem was a rare conjunction of planets. For example, in 7 BCE, Jupiter and Saturn aligned closely in the constellation Pisces 3 times within the same year. This phenomenon, known as a triple conjunction, would have been significant to ancient astrologers, particularly those from the East, who associated Pisces with the Jewish people. Comets and supernovae. Others suggest that the star could have been a comet or supernova. Halley's Comet appeared in 12 BCE, but this date seems too early. Ancient Chinese records describe a guest star, possibly a nova, visible in 5 BCE for over 2 months. This aligns more closely with the timeline and could explain the Magi's journey. A supernatural event. While natural explanations are compelling, many Christians view the Star of Bethlehem as a miraculous, divine sign. This perspective emphasizes its theological significance over scientific explanation, underscoring God's sovereignty in orchestrating events around Jesus' birth. Cultural and seasonal clues. Beyond celestial phenomena, historical and cultural contexts provide additional insight into the timing of Jesus' birth. Agricultural practices. As mentioned earlier, the presence of shepherds in the field suggests a time of year when flocks were outside, likely spring or early fall. Jewish festivals. Some scholars propose that Jesus' birth may have coincided with significant Jewish festivals like the Feast of Tabernacles. This would add symbolic weight to his arrival, aligning with themes of God dwelling among his people. Early Christian writings. The writings of early church fathers, such as Clement of Alexandria, reflect diverse opinions on the timing of Jesus' birth. Some placed it in spring, while others suggested late fall or winter. These variations highlight the evolving nature of the tradition. Why December 25th? If Jesus likely wasn't born in December, why did early Christians adopt this date? The answer lies in the intersection of theology, politics, and cultural adaptation. In the 4th century, Emperor Constantine endorsed Christianity as the Roman Empire's official religion. To unify Christian and pagan traditions, the Church designated December 25th as the celebration of Christ's birth. This date coincided with the winter solstice and pagan festivals like Saturnalia and Sol Invictus, which celebrated light's triumph over darkness. This decision wasn't about historical accuracy but theological symbolism. By choosing December 25th, the Church emphasized Jesus as the light of the world, bringing hope and salvation to humanity. Synthesizing the evidence. Historical and astronomical evidence doesn't conclusively prove or disprove December 25th as Jesus' birthdate. Instead, it provides a framework for understanding the broader context of the Nativity story. While some may find it unsettling that the exact date remains uncertain, this ambiguity invites us to focus on the spiritual significance of Christ's birth rather than the specifics of the calendar. The convergence of biblical, historical, and astronomical clues enriches our appreciation of the Nativity, reminding us that its true meaning transcends time and space. The journey to uncover the timing of Jesus' birth, whether in December or another season, leads us to a deeper question: does the exact date matter as much as the meaning behind it? This chapter shifts the focus from historical details to the profound spiritual truths of the Nativity story, emphasizing its eternal relevance for Christians. The heart of the Nativity story. At its core, the birth of Jesus is a story of hope, redemption, and divine love. Regardless of the date, the Incarnation signifies God stepping into human history to bring salvation to humanity. The Nativity is not simply about celebrating a past event, it is about embracing a timeless truth: God is with us, Emmanuel. For many, Christmas is a reminder that the light of Christ shines brightest in the darkest moments. The historical uncertainties surrounding his birth should not diminish the power of this message. Instead, they highlight the humility of Jesus' arrival, not as a king in a palace but as a child in a manger, bringing hope to all people. Beyond the calendar, living the message. Focusing solely on the historical accuracy of Jesus' birth date can overshadow its spiritual significance. The Nativity challenges us to reflect on what the birth of Christ means for our daily lives. A call to humility, Jesus' humble beginnings remind us to approach life with gratitude and a heart for serving others. His life was a testament to putting others before oneself, a message that transcends time and culture. A call to faith, just as the Magi and shepherds responded in faith to the news of Jesus' birth, we are invited to trust in God's promises, even when they defy human understanding. A call to joy, the angelic proclamation of good news of great joy, is a timeless invitation to rejoice in God's gift of salvation. The eternal significance of Jesus' birth. Theologians often emphasize that Jesus' birth marked the fulfillment of prophecies and the beginning of a new covenant. The precise timing of his arrival is secondary to the fact that he came at the perfect moment in history, as Galatians 4 verse 4 states, "But when the set time had fully come, God sent his Son." This truth invites us to shift our focus from debates over dates to the impact of Christ's birth on our personal faith journey. How does the Nativity inspire us to grow in our relationship with God? How can we embody the love and grace that Jesus brought into the world? Practical reflections for today. Understanding the spiritual significance of Jesus' birth can transform how we celebrate Christmas. Instead of being consumed by commercialism, we can make the season a time of deeper connection with God and others. Renewing our faith, the Nativity story is an opportunity to recommit to living out Christ's teachings. Embracing generosity, like the Magi who brought gifts to honor Jesus, we can reflect his love by giving to those in need. Focusing on relationships, the birth of Jesus underscores the importance of unity and reconciliation. How can we bring peace to our own families and communities? Transcending time and tradition. Ultimately, the Nativity story transcends any specific date or tradition. It is a reminder that God's plan is greater than human understanding, and his love reaches across all boundaries. Whether we celebrate on December 25th or another day, the message remains the same: Jesus' birth is a gift of hope that transforms lives. The journey through these insights reinforces that the Nativity story is far more than just a historical or scientific debate, it's a reminder of God's love and presence in our lives. As you've watched this video, you may be wondering, does the specific date of Jesus' birth change the way I experience Christmas? How can I connect more deeply with the spiritual significance of his coming into the world? What does the Nativity story teach me about faith, humility, and hope? These questions are an invitation for introspection and deeper engagement with your faith. The goal of this video was never simply to give historical answers but to encourage you to take ownership of your own faith journey by exploring the layers of history, science, and scripture that lead to the story of Jesus' birth. Regardless of when Jesus was born, his arrival into human history marked the beginning of a new opportunity for all people to experience restoration, peace, and the promise of salvation. The birth of Jesus reminds us that God is always working in ways that may defy human expectations but are always perfect in their purpose. Even if you found this topic thought-provoking or if you've come to new conclusions, remember, faith isn't about having all the answers but about trusting in the one who holds them. Jesus' presence is a constant invitation to draw closer to him, regardless of calendars or timelines. No matter when Jesus was born, his message remains timeless. The Nativity is not just about a date on the calendar, it's about the God who became man to walk with us, teach us, and give his life for us. Let this season of reflection be a reminder: the birth of Jesus is always an opportunity for renewal, faith, and transformation. As you celebrate this season, whether with family, friends, or through quiet reflection, may you embrace the joy and hope that his birth brought to the world. After all, Christmas isn't just about remembering a historical event. It's about experiencing the love, grace, and light that Jesus continues to bring into our lives every single day. If you enjoyed this video and want to explore more topics like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our future videos exploring history, faith, and biblical insights. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Until next time, keep seeking truth, growing in faith, and walking in hope. Blessings to you and your loved ones.